many technical innovations that have helped define the PC gaming format. 3D acceleration, downloadable content, online play. Now consider how these technical innovations are still relevant in gaming today, 10, 15, 20 years later. However, one of the most important moments in PC gaming history was also one of the least glamorous, even though it was arguably more important: scrolling. Today, we're going to look at a very specific moment in gaming history, in detail. To do so, let's take a trip back to September 19th, 1990. Softdisk was a company in Louisiana that was founded in the early 80s and published disc magazines. One of their most popular products was a bi-monthly disc called Gamer's Edge that promised users fun new titles every couple of months. This was an era where PC gaming was quite limited compared to the consoles of the time, so the consistently high-quality games on the Gamer's Edge disc found a devoted audience. The reason this particular disc was so special, though, was the talented team behind it. The Gamer's Edge staff included John Romero, John Carmack, and Tom Hall. You might recognise those names. But don't worry if you didn't. We will get to that. Whilst there was a lot of creative talent in the group, the technical genius was widely and rightly acknowledged to be John Carmack. Appropriately, it was Carmack who quietly revolutionised the PC gaming market for the first of many times in his career. Up to this point, PC games had been severely limited by the graphical power of the PC. Whilst consoles and platforms like the Amiga had been designed with custom hardware specifically aimed at gaming, the PC in comparison was woefully underpowered and could not achieve the same results. One huge gap in the market was platforming titles. Whilst games like Mario and Mega Man were huge hits on the consoles, the PC simply could not provide the smooth camera scrolling required by the genre. As such, platform games on the PC were very different, usually slower and more frustrating to play thanks to cameras that would flip at the edge of each screen. John Carmack had managed to create an engine that provided vertical scrolling, but horizontal scrolling still proved elusive. Carmack had been working for weeks to overcome the problem and provide smooth scrolling on the PC using EGA mode. On this particular night, he made a breakthrough. Carmack had decided that a PC could not provide scrolling by simply drawing the graphics moving across the screen, no matter how well optimized the code was. Instead, he focused on creating a super efficient graphics engine that told the computer to only draw the frames that would actually change, rather than redrawing the entire screen every time the frame advanced. This freed up valuable PC power that enabled the horizontal scrolling that had been sorely lacking from all the other games in the genre. The only other person in the office that night was Tom Hall, who immediately saw the potential in the technology. He suggested that they copy the first level of Super Mario Bros. 3, which was one of the biggest new games at the time. Since Softdisk had provided the team with all the gaming equipment they had asked for, they had a copy of Mario 3 and a NES sitting in the office that they could analyse. Jumping back and forth between the paused Mario 3 and their title editor on the computer, they copied the graphics and layout of Mario's first level. After an exhausting night, they compiled their work onto a disc and left it on Romero's desk, with a post-it note saying only "Type Dave 2." The next morning, September 20th, John Romero arrived at the Softdisk offices and found the present left on the keyboard of their powerful 386 desktop. Assuming that Carmack must have accomplished something interesting the night before, he was understandably excited as he started the program. He was greeted by an unexpected sight: a reproduction of the first level of Super Mario Bros. 3, except with Romero's character, Dangerous Dave, substituted for the plumber. I'll let Romero's words speak for themselves, straight from his website, Planet Romero.
As soon as the demo started running, I pressed the right arrow key to see if magic had indeed been made. As soon as little Dave walked a short way to the right,
Gloria, Gloria, Gloria.
screen scrolled smoothly. Time stopped. I was speechless. There's no way to overstate how completely and totally blown away I was. I couldn't work for 3 hours, no joke. What I had in front of me was the future.
As the rest of the staff began to trickle back into the office, Romero made it more and more clear that this was the signal that they all had to get out of Softdisk and begin their own company. Under the advice of Jay Wilbur, they decided to create a full demo of Super Mario Bros. 3 for the PC. They planned to do this through their own company, rather than Softdisk, leading to the solidification of Ideas from the Deep, which would later become ID Software. Their intention was to convince Nintendo to allow them to develop a licensed port of Mario 3 for the PC, which would instantly put their studio on the map. They borrowed the computers from the Softdisk offices over the weekend and took them to a lake house in Shreveport that the group had previously rented. After a weekend of relentless coding and endless pizza deliveries, the Mario 3 demo was ready. Nintendo was impressed, but sadly not interested in pursuing the PC market. The scrolling technology would not go to waste though, as it led to the development of ID Software's first major hit, Commander Keen. It was the instant revenue and recognition from the Keen games that set ID Software on their way. We can't overestimate the importance of this particular event in the course of gaming history. With shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield lighting up the sales charts year after year, it's clear that the first-person shooter genre has become one of the most interesting and important in all of gaming. Carmack's scrolling technology set off a chain of reactions that led gaming to where it is today. ID Software, Commander Keen, Shareware, Apogee, Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake. All thanks to one moment, one technological breakthrough that set these events in motion.